Hello friends. So a lot of people have been asking me questions regarding philosophy optional. So and the kind of questions they are asking, I thought why to answer one to one again and again. So let us make some videos which burst the confusions regarding philosophy optional or the myths regarding philosophy optional, what it is not, or why the confusion is regarding philosophy optional here and there. So let us start. I have jotted down some points which I got in my queries. I even thought about making 10 such reasons, but somehow I could come up with 8 only. So people have been asking, if you have any other query regarding philosophy optional, you can always comment, and we will be happy to answer. So first is background. Does background matter while taking philosophy optional? Not at all. You can be an engineer, doctor, simple BA student, BCom student, commerce student. You can be any background. You can take philosophy as an optional, because there is no requirement of graduation in philosophy for taking philosophy optional. Rather, if you have philosophy in your graduation, then it might be a little difficult for you to handle philosophy optional. Why? Because the BA course or the MA course is in itself very bulky and very different from our optional syllabus, because in optional syllabus only limited topics are there, and the way of writing answers is a little different. So people who have become accustomed in writing BA answers, they find it a little difficult to remain to the point, and they become amazed at how short the syllabus of philosophy is. Now background doesn't matter. I myself is a dental student, or rather I am a dentist. I studied medical science in my graduation, so I took philosophy and I got selected with it. And I know a lot of engineers, doctors, CAs who have, or people who have done BA history, BA political science, BA honors, etc., who took philosophy as an optional and cleared this examination. So your background doesn't matter. Second is thinkers. Some people came to me and they were like, ma'am, lot of thinkers are there in philosophy. Well, in paper one, thinkers are there in nearly all the subjects. But in philosophy, definitely there are a lot of thinkers. But it's only thinkers, because philosophy means knowing the mind of somebody. So it is like only content that is in paper one is thinkers. Thinkers in the sense you have to know what Plato is thinking, how Aristotle contradicted, and then what he thought, then Descartes, then Spinoza, then Leibniz. So it is like, if you try to understand it, it is like meeting some 15-20 people of different ages and trying to know what they think about this world. What is this world made up of? How does this world work? So basic things, very basic. So if you ever had this question, like, why are we here? We such a small speck of identity in this such a vast world. So many of us are around there. What is the purpose of my life? Why am I here? Does everything is predetermined, or we have a say in it? So when you have certain kind of these questions, these insightful questions, if you have ever asked, the answers is through philosophy, and the answers these people thought about is different theories. So I would rather say, and I always say to my philosophy students, don't read a person or a thinker or a philosophy as if you are reading something of a content. Rather, try to know the person. If you know the philosopher, the philosophy is easy. So having thinkers is not a problem. Problem is if you are not interested in knowing what this person has thought. So it is like, it's like meeting Plato through his ideas, through his content. It is like meeting Aristotle, meeting Sartre, meeting Heidegger with his ideas. So you meet 17-20 people in paper one and you get an understanding of their worldview. Definitely. So thinkers, I don't think there is a problem, because the whole philosophy itself means thoughts of somebody who about this world, or about anything in this world. It is abstract, complex, and out of the world ideas. Abstract, no. There might be a little sense of abstraction, but this optional is absolutely logical. People who can think logically and scientifically can do much better in philosophy optional. That is why doctors and engineers definitely flourish in philosophy optional, because you have to formulate arguments, you have to understand arguments given by the philosophers. So philosophy means argumentation. Supposedly, I'll give you an example to prove it. Supposedly, person X or philosopher X says the world is made up of atoms. Now the philosopher Y will come and say, no, these atoms are not separate, rather they appear separate because of this reason. A third person may contemplate over it and may come up with an idea. Everything is connected, everything in this world is connected, and if change in one happens, the change in other also happens. So this is a very it might be out of context for you right now, but it is something. It is like knowing three people, how did they perceive the world in itself. So it is just about knowing these people and how they formulate their answers logically. Example, if a person says there is God, because argument number one, if there is no God, then who made this world? How this world came into existence? Second, there is definitely a presence of God, else how would the conscious animals would have come into being, and how would they have these conscious abilities which are not found in other inanimate objects? So it is something like arguments. There is God because 1 2 3 4 5. If there is this world, something must have caused it, because every effect has a cause. So something must have caused it. Who will cause such an immense thing as world? Something as immense and big or perfect as God. So arguments. The other person will give the arguments from other side. No, there is no God. Why? Because we haven't been able to hear from him till now. We are not able to see him. We are not able to perceive him. Second, we know about this Big Bang theory and the science has excelled so much. So arguments. So, and how logically you can formulate these arguments is all about philosophy. And in answers also, you don't have to write anything exotic. You just have to write about these arguments itself, nothing else. So if you can understand an argument, you can formulate arguments, you can do philosophy. But definitely you have to have that broad mind of argumentation, where you are open to the suggestion of others. If you are very stubborn, no, whatever I think is the only right way, then philosophy will be difficult for you. Don't think about philosophy optional then. If you have an open mind, you can know 2-3 people and you can understand the point of view of all of them and can entertain those thoughts, you can read philosophy. Then another doubt has been regarding success rate and scoring. Rather, I would say scoring is definitely not a problem. So I have seen people score 340, 330, and even in this year's examination, 326, 317, 319, all of these, there has been good score in philosophy always. So people who do hard work in an optional definitely get rewarded. Another thing is this, what do you say, success rate. I don't know this percentages and all things, how how effective it is, because ultimately the most important thing is your interest. If you are interested, then only take any optional, not just philosophy, any option. Because sometimes we get influenced by toppers or somebody who has cleared in our near neighborhood. So अंकल की बेटी का या अंकल के बेटे का एक्स ऑप्शनल लेने से क्लियर हो गया, तो मुझे भी एक्स ऑप्शनल लेना चाहिए. You are a different person, you are a different identity. If you personally like a subject or an optional, only then take it. Don't come under the influence of any such things. Rather, just to clear your myth, because this is a myth busting video. So definitely there have been, success rate of philosophy is good. Scoring is definitely good, above 300 many students score. And toppers, there have been many toppers also from philosophy optional. Then cramming. lot of things, people thinks that you need to learn a lot of things in any optional or even in GS. If you don't learn relevant portions, you won't be able to score very good. Learning is definitely a kind of education which is there. So retention is definitely there. Best part is, if you understand a philosopher, then there is very little that you will have to learn. Revisions you will have to do, and not one, many revisions you will have to do. Only then your score will be there. Best part of philosophy is that it is very short, crisp, and to the point. We don't have to read too much of anything. It's very short and very crisp. Very short. Limited number of philosophers. Within philosophers also, very limited number of topics that we have to do. And if you ever have a doubt, go to past year question papers and just see how much repetition is there, because only 2 topics are given. 1 year, 1 topic will be asked, second year, second topic will be asked from a philosopher. So, it is shaped that way. Cramming or difficult to understand? Absolutely not. Philosophy, if you have a logical mind and if you have the right interest, it's very interesting to read, and definitely not difficult. Difficult, I don't know what you, well, there can be different gradations for other different people, but yes, philosophy optional need a slightly bent of mind towards these ideas, towards these things. If you have a slightly bent of mind, then philosophy is very, very easy. And of course, when you connect it with science, when you connect it with the ideas which are prevalent nowadays, it becomes really interesting and easy to understand. And that is why I always say my motto is not just philosophy, it is philosophy simplified. We have to simplify it and definitely make it to the point for the examination point of view. Less resources. Many people have this doubt that, we cannot find resources for philosophy and all this. Very good. Limited resources means that you can have very focused and very channelized preparation. The more the channelized, more the success will be there. Less resources, very good. Limited resources, you will be able to clear this examination easily, because more resources are more confusing, more and more confusion will be there. You have to read book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4. A lot of time will be wasted, and at the end you come up to a solution, one particular notes. And talk to people who have got selected. They will always say, I just read my teacher's notes and looked at maybe 1 or 3 other sources, well, maybe 1, maybe at max 1, and I could clear this examination easily. They scored really well. People who consulted 4 or 5 sources do not get good marks. The reason is they are not able to write, because the impression, the mind maps, the mind picture, or the pictographic memory doesn't work that way. If you have a content from 4 or 5 sources, the pictographic memory is not there. You are not able to bring in the best expression. If you have limited sources, this memory works and you can express yourself. So definitely limited resources is not a problem. And rather, when I teach philosophy, you have to just restrict yourself to my class notes and the printed notes. Only when you complete, when you are in thorough command of them, only then you go to other sources, and that other sources also I'll tell which sources to consult or which books to consult. You don't have to run here and there. Then how do you know whether you are interested in philosophy or not? I will be making few videos from one from each section of philosophy. So there are 4 sections. In paper 1, there is Indian and Western philosophy. In paper 2, there is philosophy of religion and socio-political philosophy. So I will be making short videos on one topic of all of these 4 segments, so that you get an understanding what kind of content is there, what do a philosophy student, what is the required of philosophy student, what you should know, what are the topics like, what do we discuss in those topics, something like that, so that you know whether you are interested in it or not. Okay friends, I think all the myths which I could fine right now. The people have asked me. I tried to answer them. If still you have any doubt or myths, you can ask. Bye bye. Best wishes. Keep studying.